And it looks like we are live. We'll give you guys just a second or two to jump in here. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Coach's Playbook, where we talk about the topics that you want to hear about, and we try to simplify them a little bit for you. Today, we're joined by some of the usual suspects, Dan, Hogue, and Mick. And I am JD, filling in for Jack, who was called into a very important meeting to discuss some very important things. So, how's everyone doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I can't
Doing
complain.
great, feeling good.
Yeah,
I love
doing
jumping
well.
in on these conversations.
Love having you.
Oh, thank you.
I like the shirt you guys, you and Mick got on over there.
Yeah.
Shout out Top Step Swag. Those of you that don't have it, go find it on our website at the bottom of the page. You can click into our swag store. There's a little hidden gem in there with Hoag's face on it.
Yeah, the crowd pleaser shirt.
I recommend picking one of those up. And I put to test this weekend our rain jacket that we have on there. I put it to the test. I fell in the river in Colorado here yesterday, and it kept my cell phone dry. So that was a plus.
Wow.
Were you the only fish that got caught yesterday after you fell in?
We got skunked. I'm the only one that went in, but we had a good time. The snow came down, and you know what? I was out in the mountains having a good time. No cell phone reception. It was as good as it gets.
Those pictures looked great.
Yeah,
I was envious.
Keep an eye on our YouTube or Instagram page. I think some are going up.
Well, let's dive into it. What do you say, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We're getting closer to everyone's favorite time of year again. Not the Super Bowl, but yes, tax season.
Wah, wah.
Everyone's favorite time of year.
April 15th.
It's coming. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a subject that was brought up, I believe, in our Facebook community. And that would be how to pay taxes or tax-related stuff about your brokerage account. But before we get into too much detail, Mick, you got a Funded Trader shout out for us?
I do. Big shout out to Sarah Johnson. She put up 1,200 today, trading the S&P, just a couple contracts. So very happy for her.
Very nice. Breaking the NASDAQ streak. I think we had 2 or 3 weeks in a row, NASDAQ traders, and a crude oil trader this year. I like it. We're mixing it up.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the tax front. Let me just clear this up right away. Every year that you actively trade, you are required by law, not by us, to pay your taxes on any profits that you make. There's really no exceptions to that. If you do not, you will be subject to penalties, fines, possibly audits, all kinds of horrible, horrible things. So there you go. There you go. Full disclosure. Pay your taxes.
Don't follow in Wesley Snipes' footsteps.
No, I went to get money out of the bank one day. They said, sorry, sir, but the IRS has frozen your assets.
Ooh, that's nothing you ever want to hear.
Right.
Was that your trading business or your side business, John?
That was trading. I avoided paying my taxes. Thought I could get away with it if I just said I forgot, but they still wanted their money, so had to even up.
Yeah. Note the difference. There's a difference between tax evasion, which is the illegal, and then tax avoidance. Right. Literally there is.
Ignorance of the law does not usually mean evasion. But come on, let's get real.
Yeah, no kidding.
So now this is an important topic because there are some great tax benefits to both capital gains and capital losses for futures traders. A futures trader really isn't held to the same long and short-term capital gains taxes as your typical stock trader. And say you do incur some losses for the year, you're allowed to write off, a few $1,000s, even if you're not technically considered a full-time trader. We'll get into what actually the IRS does consider to be a full-time trader. But first, let's kick it over to Dan, who's going to tell us a little bit about some of his favorite moves during tax season.
Well, first and foremost, everybody, we are not tax professionals. So the first thing I will say, find an accountant that understands this industry. Not every accountant totally gets this, but go find an accountant that has an understanding of this industry, even if they're nowhere near you. There's a lot of them in Chicago. Chicago is a pretty populous area of accountants that understand trading and understand how the taxes work here. So that is the first and foremost thing. We're going to talk about a couple of things that we like to do. First off, for me, it's a big thing is have an LLC. There are a lot of advantages to having an LLC that's in your brokerage account versus putting your own name on there. Whether you're 1099 as a contractor, however it's working, if you go through an LLC, you've got a lot of advantages because you're essentially a corporation of sorts. There are tax write-offs that you can do in there. You can purchase equipment under that LLC. You can put vehicles in that LLC. There's a lot you can do when you have an LLC. So that's for me, what I really like to think about is I put an LLC. I have an accountant that does everything for me, focuses on my specifics, tells me about how much I should be expecting to pay in taxes each year. And that's as much as I do when it comes to taxes. I mean, I sit back, I let someone that's a professional in this tell me what to do. I understand the trading concept. I am by no means smart when it comes to taxes, other than you tell me how much I have to pay. Here's a check. And I hope to God the IRS says that's enough.
Yeah. And great point. Thanks.
I don't want my assets frozen like Hogue over there.
Yeah, they just say, how much did you make last year? How much did you send? How much did you spend? Send the rest.
Exactly. I typically, here's something that I really do is every quarter I try and put away a lot more than I think I'm going to have to pay in taxes. You can do that at a standard job with your W-2. You have the option to pay extra in taxes so that at the end of the year or the following year, maybe you'll get a kickback. That's a nice little perk if you can get a couple grand back. But to have more set aside, more paid towards it, is usually for me a big sigh of relief. The last thing I want to do come April is get stuck. You got to pay the property taxes, you get hit with your income taxes, you get hit with all these taxes, and it's a big burden. So trying to spread it over time really helps that out, and making sure you're setting aside way more than you think you're going to need.
Yeah, those are great points, especially the point about we are not tax professionals. You should seek out a tax professional if there's anything you don't understand. There's so many different ways to file these taxes. I mean, the IRS doesn't consider income from trading to be earned income, so you don't need to pay self-employment tax. If you want to be considered, a full-time trader, you have to meet certain criteria. Like you have to have a certain percentage of your total income come from trading, and the forms can just get so confusing if you're really better off just paying a couple $100 and having someone do it for you.
It's worth every penny.
Yeah, worth every penny. It'll save you headaches, knowing, unless you enjoy being audited. I mean, yeah, just save yourself.
Spending that money can actually save you money in the long run.
100%. Mick, what's your take on it?
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, John. I think you guys have a lot of valuable information to give these traders about the LLC and, all the different ways to, that these taxes can be done and to seek professional help with it. What I want to talk about is just for your average retail trader or someone new into this industry, what I would say, yes, do your homework, look into the LLCs, look into tax professionals to help you out. But the simplest and, Danny mentioned first and foremost, I'd say first and foremost, if you take some money out of your trading account, you're going to want to keep track of, what you're pulling out and what you need to be saving. If you pull 10 grand out of your account, figure that 3 of that is not yours. Whether or not you want to save that in your, regular own savings account or a checking account, I personally think a smart thing to do would be open up a completely separate account to shell away some money for taxes. If I'm pulling 10 grand out of my account, I'm going to want to be putting 3 grand away, give or take, forget about it. Come tax time, I'm writing a check out of that account. Because, over the course of a year, you start spending money, you can lose track of what you're going to be owing. Over the course of a year, you might, it's pretty easy if you pull money out of your account and you're like, oh, I have this 10 grand, I can do a lot of stuff with that money. a lot of people think about just, what they can spend that money on, and you really need to, store your nuts, as they say, for another year. And, on top of that, once you start taking money out and you're paying taxes on that, now the IRS is going, your tax professional should be giving you some estimates that you'll need to pay for the following year based off your previous year's income. You're going to be wanting to pay those quarterly. And it's just, dealing with the IRS, they've got a lot of power over you. You just want to follow the rules. What do we say here now at Top Step? Follow the effing rules. You got to do that when it comes to the government and your money too. It's very easy if you plan ahead and think about it, not to get into complicated situations. It's the last thing you want. You want to just be here to trade, but make sure you're, hanging on to some of that money, because not all of it is yours, unfortunately.
100%.
No one gets lucky and escapes the IRS here. So just do something simple. For every $2 you take out of your trading account, just throw one in the bank. Put one in your pocket and keep one in the bank. There's a simple solution to everything.
It's not that hard to avoid I'm sorry, sir, your assets have been frozen by the IRS situation. Just take care of business. And certainly, consult a tax professional when it comes to doing this. They're gonna have the best advice and the best suggestions for you to stay out of trouble and to, hopefully keep more of what you're actually earning. Speaking of actually earning more than keeping more of what you're actually earning. I tend to be the kind of historian here at Top Step, and my dad was on the floor of the Board of Trade. Dan's dad, floor of the Board of Trade. Mick's dad, floor of the Board of Trade. John's dad, floor of the Mercantile Exchange. And until about the mid 70s, they used to do what they would call it a tax spread. They would leave a lot of money that they'd earned throughout the year in their trading account. And on the last day of the year, they would put on these huge spreads. So they would actually end up tying up the money as margin instead of showing it as income. And then the following day, at the beginning of the year, they would unravel those tax spreads and take the money out. Unfortunately, the IRS, being as smart as they are, they figured it out eventually. Luckily, I think all our dads were informed of that before that, and before that happened, and had evened up with the IRS before that happened. But I know there were a lot of guys on the grain floor that did not believe that was going to happen, and ended up having to liquidate assets to pay all these taxes that they'd avoid using the tax spread for many years. We can't do that anymore, and I think it's a good thing.
Without a doubt, that you don't want to get caught in those situations where you have to scramble to find some cash to pay the IRS. The IRS, they have all the time in the world to pay us, but when they want their money, they're going to get it.
Yeah, that's why I try not to send them any more money than I absolutely have to. I'm okay actually having to pay a little bit at the end of the year, because they're just going to hold on to my money. They're not going to give me any interest on it. So I'd prefer to keep it and use it myself.
Put it to work for you.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll say it again. There are no loopholes to get around paying your taxes.
Without a doubt.
So find a clever accountant, do whatever you have to do. I probably shouldn't have said that. Never mind. But we got any questions rolling in?
We do not. Relatively quiet today, but I do have ourselves a quote to sign us off with that I found to go along with where I'm sitting. I'm out in Colorado, up in the mountains, so I wanted to find something that had to do with the mountains in Colorado for today's quote. I don't know if it has anything to do with trading, but I thought it was a cool quote from William Shakespeare. Our peace shall stand as firm as the Rocky Mountains. I thought it was deep. I thought it was cool. And I'm sitting in the Rocky Mountains right now.
Yeah, probably feeling a lot of peace in the Rocky Mountains. It totally fits.
Even as I was falling in the river yesterday, I felt completely at peace.
I doubt that.
A little chilly, but
Well, thanks for that, Dan. Very inspirational. Hogue, you want to take us home?
Sure thing, man. most important thing about remembering to pay your taxes in trading is actually profit in trading. Let's get out there. Let's have a good trading day. Let's have a good year this year.